Welcome to Scrum on Screen, a series brought to you by ilovescrum.org, your home for everything Scrum. Hi, I'm Maisha. I've been practicing Scrum for over a decade. I created this series to explore Scrum like you've never seen it before, through the lens of your favorite TV shows and movies. And this season, we're diving into one of the most iconic shows in television history, I Love Lucy. We're looking at Season 2, Episode 1, called Job Switching. The Scrum team being inspected, the wrapping department, aka Lucy and Ethel in the chocolate factory. By the end of this season, you'll walk away with a customized Scrum guide built from our inspection of this fictional Scrum team. You'll see where the wrapping department aligned with the Scrum framework, where they veered off, and why that matters. Okay, before we dive in, I need to give you a quick heads up. We're not going to walk through the Scrum guide from top to bottom. We're not evaluating every single line. Instead, we're doing something different, something better. We're going to let the scene lead the way. As each moment unfolds, we'll pause, inspect what just happened, and connect it to the Scrum framework. So, don't expect a lecture, expect a story, a visual, a journey. Trust me, Scrum's never been taught like this before. Well, all right, let's get into it. This is Season 1, Lesson 2. And today we're moving forward in the 3-minute and 6-second scene. We're picking up at the 6-second mark and watching to the 12-second mark. After watching this short clip, we'll be able to answer 2 questions. Number 1, what is the product? And number 2, who is receiving the work?
Now, the candy will pass by on this conveyor belt and continue into the next room where the girls will pack it.
In this scene, we're still in the wrapping department with Lucy, Ethel, and the supervisor. But now the supervisor is giving us more context. She says, now, the candy will pass by on this conveyor belt and continue into the next room where the girls will pack it. And that's where we're stopping. That's what we're going to inspect today. All right, time to rewind. Let's go back to our inspection questions. Based on what the supervisor shared with Lucy and Ethel in that 6-second clip, can we now answer the 2 questions? 1, what is the product? 2, who is receiving the work? Let's answer our first inspection question. What is the product? The product is candy. Here's how we know. The supervisor tells us that candy will come into the wrapping department on a conveyor belt and then move into the next room to be packed. Now, at this point, we haven't seen the candy yet, and we don't know if it'll arrive finished or still in progress. We don't even know what kind of candy it is. But what we do know is this. Candy is the item coming into our space, and that makes it our product. Even if we didn't create it, it's what we're working with. It's what the wrapping department Scrum team is focused on. And in Scrum, the product is whatever the team is delivering, improving, or handling. Seat belts, everyone. Next stop, the Scrum Guide. Let's head over to www.scrumguides.org. This is the home of the official Scrum Guide. Go ahead and bookmark it. Now, scroll down to the section called Scrum Artifacts. Within that section, find Product Backlog. Right underneath it, you'll see a subsection called Commitment Product Goal. And below that is a quote, and it says, "The product is a vehicle to deliver value." Let's pause right there. That one sentence is incredibly powerful because it reminds us that Scrum doesn't just focus on doing work, Scrum focuses on delivering value. So, how do we apply that quote to what we just saw in the wrapping department? Well, now we know that the product is candy. So, if we were to customize that line from the Scrum Guide for this specific Scrum team, we would say the product, candy, is the wrapping department's vehicle to deliver value. That's how we apply the Scrum Guide to real life. We're not changing what it says, we're translating it. We're putting it in the language of the team. We're making the Scrum Guide practical, team specific, real. That's how you help a team connect with Scrum, by showing them what it looks like for them. Let's move on to our second inspection question. Who is receiving the work? The answer is the girls in the next room. How do we know that? Let's go back to what the supervisor actually said. "Now, the candy will pass by on this conveyor belt and into the next room where the girls will pack it." So, what does that tell us? It tells us that once the candy leaves our department or the wrapping department, it heads to the next room where a different group, the girls, will take over and pack it. In Scrum, the people who receive your work matter. They might not be the end user, they might just be down the hall, but they're part of the value stream. In this case, the wrapping department is handing something off to the packing team. That makes them our next customer, our internal partner. They're the ones who rely on us to do our part so they can do theirs. Seat belts, everyone. Next stop, the Scrum Guide. All right, let's go back to www.scrumguides.org. This is the home of the official Scrum Guide. If you're working in Scrum, this is your North Star, so make sure it's bookmarked. Now, scroll down to the section titled Scrum Theory. Under that, look for the subsection called Transparency. Here is the very first line. "The emergent process and work must be visible to those performing the work as well as those receiving the work." Let's pause right there. That one sentence is important because it reminds us that Scrum isn't just about private progress. It's about shared visibility, especially for the people doing the work and those receiving the results. So, how do we apply that quote to the team in our story? Well, in this case, the people doing the work are the wrapping department, and the people receiving the work are the girls in the packing room who will pack it. So, if we were to customize that line from the Scrum Guide for this team, it would look like this. The emergent process and work must be visible to those doing the work, the wrapping department, as well as those receiving the work, the girls in the packing room who will pack it. We're not changing the meaning of the Scrum Guide, we're translating it. We're putting it in the voice of the team and showing how Scrum applies in their world. That's how we bring the Scrum Guide to life, because visibility isn't optional, it's part of the deal. And when both sides, the doers and the receivers, can see what's happening, that's when real flow begins. Let's bring this lesson into the real world. There were two questions that we answered. What is the product? Who is receiving the work? Take a moment and think about the actual product your team produces. Then think, who receives it? Who gets the output of your work and does something with it? Let's go through a few real-world examples. Example 1, going out to eat. What is the product? Food. Who receives the work? The hungry customer. When you go out to eat, whether it's fast food, a sit-down restaurant, a local spot, the product is food. The output of the kitchen is your meal. You, the customer, are the one receiving that product. Example 2, a Scrum team building a mental health app. Let's say you're working with a Scrum team building an app that helps people track their moods and schedule therapy sessions. What's the product? The app, or more specifically, a new feature or piece of code being developed. Who receives the work? The quality assurance or testing team. In this case, the developers aren't handing the product directly to the end users. Their immediate output goes to the QA team, who will test it to make sure it works as intended before it goes anywhere else. So the receiver of the developer's work isn't the public, it's the testers. Example 3, a recruiting company. Let's say you're working at a recruiting company, specifically with the sourcers, the people who go out and find potential candidates. What's the product? The list of sourced candidates. Who receives the work? The recruiters. Sourcers hand off those candidates to recruiters, who then decide which ones should be contacted, interviewed, or submitted to clients. Again, we're not jumping ahead to the company doing the hiring. We're focused on who receives the work from the sourcers. All right, before we wrap up this week's lesson, I want to bring in someone very special to me. He's been a lifelong mentor, a straight shooter, and the kind of man who's going to give it to you raw, no sugar, no sprinkles. His name is Uncle Rufus. Now, listen, Uncle Rufus is unfiltered. I'm just going to go ahead and say it. He does not care about buzzwords. He's going to tell you what he sees or he thinks, plain and simple. But when I asked him what he thought about the whole idea of product and who's receiving the work, well, let's just say he had some thoughts. So, be warned, but open your heart because there's wisdom in his words. Here's Uncle Rufus.
Let me tell you something right now, baby. If you don't know what your product is, you're just out here busy and blind. You ever seen somebody sweeping, but they don't even know what they're sweeping for? That's you! Running around, working, tapping keyboards, sitting in meetings, but you can't even say what you're delivering. And let's talk about the handoff, because if you don't know who's picking up the baton after you, then you're probably dropping it. Your work ain't complete until somebody else can use it. Not look at it, not clap for it, but use it. And if you don't know what that person is, you don't know how to serve them right. You might be baking a cake for somebody who's allergic to eggs. You hear me? Knowing your product and knowing your next customer ain't optional. It's spiritual. It's sacred. It's respect. Otherwise, you just out here making noise. Don't be out here making noise. Be out here making impact.
And there you have it. Uncle Rufus said what he said. No matter what you or your Scrum team does, you have a product, something that serves as a vehicle to deliver value. And someone is receiving it, a customer, a teammate, a department, and they depend on your output. When you know what you're delivering and who it's for, you stop going through the motions. You work with intention. You deliver with care. You move with purpose. So, that's a wrap for this week. And as always, remember, Scrum is everywhere. Keep your eyes open Study what you see, then improve what you can. See you all next week.